Our next speaker, many of you know Marc. He will be speaking about Semkovo, truth about Nomad Utopia. Marc.
No. Yeah, there you go. Awesome, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth about Nomad Utopia is that this clicker doesn't work. Oh, I got it. It's me not working. Okay. The truth about Nomad Utopia is that there is no truth. I mean, there's no absolute truth. We are 120 stakeholders and owners in this massive project. We each have our own journey. We each have our own story. We each came in different times. We each have our own perspective. So what I can do is tell you my truth and try to honor, as much as possible other people's truths. If you haven't heard of co-living Semkovo or Matthias Zeitler, just a show of hands, has anybody not heard of these things? Okay, good. Yeah. I'm really sorry, but this talk is not for you. I don't have time. Why did I buy Semkovo? I mean, it's very simple. I needed a new home. I was moving. I wanted it to be cheap. I wanted it to be in nature, and I wanted community. And so kind of Semkovo clicked those boxes. And on top of that, I was very seduced by the balls it takes to pull something like this off. I bought in beginning of 2023, thinking that maybe by the end of the year I would have an apartment. That was a bit too optimistic. I did think that by now I would have an apartment that I could live in. I think that timeline has been pushed about 9 times. Reminds me of my website, that this is literally a screenshot of my website for the last 10 years. So when are we opening? Soon. Unlike my website, we have accomplished a lot. So there's a lot of activity that's gone on. We've hired a massive staff. We've renovated a massive building. I mean, there's a lot of information on what we have accomplished. But if you haven't been to the building and are curious, I highly recommend you go. I mean, it's really impressive what has changed. I hope you can see what my unit looks like. I would buy this for 20,000, wouldn't you? This is how it looks now. Is it home? Not quite yet. Home is still my van, but with Bulgarian license plates, thanks to Semkovo. So why am I still living in my van? It would be very difficult to summarize everything that's happened in the last 3 years in 1 minute, but with the help of AI, I've tried, and this is kind of the story. It starts with the dream, and we're kind of getting together, getting the paperwork, we're getting the deeds, we're getting the building, there's a lot of excitement, we're meeting for the first time. Okay, that goes to the next phase where we start to feel a bit of pressure, some of the things aren't working like we wanted, we haven't sold all of the units, there starts to be a little bit of unease. Then brings us to last year, where this pressure keeps mounting. There starts to be different theories, different arguments, different opinions. We call it the storm because there seems to be fractures in the community. And then early this year, it culminated in some people actually leaving the cooperative. That's the journey over the last 3 years. And Matthias is stepping down his chair and gives us the possibility for a rebirth. This is a really interesting graph showing just the amount of communication going on in our communications channels. And so you can see those, the graph from before is a massive oversimplification. I mean, obviously, it's not that linear of a story, and it's more like a roller coaster. But I think they're all emotions that we've gone through and we can relate to. I mean, at the peak of our conversations, we were having like over 150 messages per day, which is basically like a full-time job just to read, let alone to respond to. And this created a lot of overwhelm. And some people kind of, just checked out. Yeah, there was a lot of who is right and who is wrong. And just a few days ago, in one of those channels, one of the owners mentioned, before convincing yourself that you're so obviously right, breathe. Explore the possibility that we might all be right and wrong simultaneously. So there's a lot of heat in these channels, but there's also a lot of wisdom. I mean, this was after a long discussion about different legal systems and different cultures. I love this slide. It shows the distribution of different members in these communications channels, and it really provided me with insights as an owner, because you can see how many people, like how the conversation is split over the different groups, over the different owners, sorry. There's a pattern in the communication channels that the top 5 people in the channel are responsible for over 50% of the conversation, of the words that are being spoken or written. And the top 15 are responsible for 75%. The bottom 70 are responsible for 15. So there's a lot of voices that we're not hearing, or that we're not, that are not engaging. And actually, that makes me a question, like, so how do these people feel and how do they think? Because when you're in the midst of the heat of all of the discussion and all of the messages, you think you have a pulse for what the whole community feels like. But actually, it's a bit misleading. It's kind of a little bubble. It was super revolutionary for me that just looking at the list of names of owners, there are 45 names. I have no idea who they are. I've never heard of them. I've never seen them in any discussion. So there's a lot of people that I don't know. The total amount of words that have been exchanged in these platforms over the last 3 years is over like almost 2 million. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of words. Oh, wait. So there are different reasons why people might not be engaged. I mean, for some people, maybe they just don't care, or it's a side project, or they're not that invested in it. But I was more concerned about the people that really, they care, they want to engage, and for some reason they stopped or they left out. And so in an attempt to kind of hear those voices that felt disenfranchised or disgruntled, last summer I organized a kind of a sharing circle on site with about 20 people who showed up, which is kind of like some hippie eco-village thing that I picked up and was new to a lot of people. In our case, I call it the Semkovo Spiritual Support Service for the Seriously Stressed. It didn't land with everyone in the same way, so there you go. Like, same reality, different experience. Oh, I'm sorry. My main point was, it didn't land with everyone, but there was one person that really touched me because they kind of choked up and they said, all that I want is to be included and to feel heard. And that was my point. My point was that what weakens a group is not debate, it's disengagement. I'm sorry that I'm just reading the slide, but a cooperative is meant to be resilient through participation and not lean by censorship. Exclusion is not strength, it is silence mistaken for unity. Marc GPT. The magic happens when we come together. I mean, whether it's like for cycling or buying expensive real estate, when we're all together and meeting, I mean, I've made a lot of friends on this journey. So if people ask me, do you regret buying a unit in Semkovo? It's a resounding no, because of all of the people that I've met that are so interesting. And I mean, some of them are here. Oliver is one of the weirdest people that I've ever met. What is that? Oh, God. They were sending them from Semkovo. So, yeah, Oliver, weirdest guy. I would join the project just to hang out with Oliver, and I think, actually, he's our best asset in promotional material, even though I hate Instagram. But community fun, obviously, alone doesn't run the co-op. We also need money. So what was the sales pitch was, well, okay, we're gonna buy these units and then we're gonna rent them out to digital nomads. And so the owners will make half the money and the co-op will get the other half. Win-win, we all have fun and money. The reality is not what was on those slides. And some people feel like Matthias didn't deliver what he promised. And it's a reminder, he never promised anything. He had some estimates, and he was always careful to say that this is, the best case, or this is an estimate, but there was always uncertainty, and we didn't know that. What is the reality? My reality is that I've like minus 100 return on my investment. So the reality is Matthias is stepping down as chairman, and he is basically collecting 10% of the sales of all of the apartments. So it's around, over €500,000. The reality is that this project is only existing because one of the owners stepped in and saved the project multiple times. He now owns 41 units and has spent over €1.5 million. So the reality is uncomfortable. I'm really glad that it's not raining now, because the reality is that we have a leaking roof. But they were kind enough to make me want to feel at home, so we decided to do outside anyway. We still don't have electricity connected. Like, the reality is uncomfortable. We still need to raise €1 million just to get to the opening phase. I wasn't sure whether to share the slide, but it's not a secret, because when you have that many owners, and especially when you have that many that are upset about something, there's no way to contain it. So I don't really feel like it's necessary to hide. There is a lot of anger, and I think a lot of it is legitimate, and I think it should be honored. Matthias and I disagreed about a lot of things, but I think he would agree with this slide, because I really think that he, in his mind, was trying to do the right thing and was trying to lead a massively complex project on massive amounts of dimensions the best way that he could. It's so tempting to blame one person or one group of people, like this is the problem or that's the problem, and it's just more complicated than that. One of my favorite essays is called In Defense of Nuance. I really recommend you read it. It's not just about Semkovo, it's about like how we engage with our perceptions. Jaap spoke a little bit about this. We really tend to like make conclusions based on what we perceive. So I had expectations from Matthias that were not met. And that's just as much my fault as it is his, because they were my expectations. I have to take responsibility for that. If I ignore the reality, that doesn't really solve anything. But if I stay stuck in the frustration or in the blame, that doesn't help either. So I was really spending a lot of time over the last few days and years thinking about what does this all mean, and what lessons can I bring to you? And I keep coming to the group dynamics, because it really did feel like we were kind of splitting into different camps. We had the skeptics or the challengers, and then we had the optimists or the believers, and there was a lot of clash. And analyzing it, I came to understand that they were driven by different fears. So the skeptics are kind of afraid of being misled or losing their assets. And the optimists are afraid of missing the opportunity, not opening quickly or not selling enough units. And both of those are extremely legitimate fears. And they're conversations worth having. The problem happens when they become extreme or paranoid or conspiracy theories. The disagreements become personal attacks. And then you kind of label, this entire group is just negative and sabotaging the project, or this entire group is delusional and naive and just following a cult leader. So neither of these labels are helpful, and neither of them helps bridge the gap between valid points. This is the trifecta that we need to move forward. Hope in the project that it still has a potential. Honesty and transparency about the risks and the state of things. And trust that all of us are acting in good faith. If you lose any one of those pillars, it's really difficult to recover that trust. So this is us all collaborating. For me, it's landed to a useful mindset being a optimistic realist. And, neither extreme, neither being delusional and neither being, too bitter. And I think one of the best examples of this mindset is our new chairman, Nico Bayer, that is standing right there. We've elected Nico, the co-op elected Nico 2 days ago, so it's brand new, fresh off the market. I'm happy to make this announcement. And I'm really happy about this. It's no surprise to me because Nico was, the most engaged. He was the number 2 after Matthias in these channels over the last 3 years. So what I appreciate more than the quantity is the tone. He was not afraid to ask the tough questions, but he did it in a diplomatic way and never got personal in these kinds of confrontations. So yeah, a lot of co-op members really respected that aspect. Take a look at that. I don't know. So this change gives us potential, and particularly because Nico's been very passionate about co-op and what the co-op means and what the co-op structure, it's working? Okay, thank you. So does that mean all the problems are solved and it was all Matthias' fault and now everything will be golden? Of course not. We have monumental challenges ahead and we have real issues to fix before we can even talk about how we're going to operate. But this gives us a breath of breath. Holy crap. Breath of fresh air. Thank you. I'm an English native speaker, believe it or not. So good luck to you and also to all of the community that we hopefully can come back together in an ideal world. Life lessons brought to you by Semkovo. I mean, there are so many, I could spend hours, but this is what I've landed on. Doubt is an uncomfortable position, but certainty is ridiculous. And every time someone is so certain, I become more skeptical. Life is a tragedy when seen up close, but a comedy in long shot. And I don't mean this to minimize anyone's pain, but in the end, look at the big picture. It's only money and, a lot of money. And so, are you going to spend your time arguing on a governance platform? Is that how you want to spend your time? Just, I know it's hard sometimes, but for me, it's really helped to just focus on the fun and follow your pleasure, as a wise person once told me. In summary, there is no truth, there is no right, there is no fair. There's just a bunch of flawed humans engaging in a massive experiment. And I think that applies to life and not just to Semkovo. So yeah, that was my truth. If you are curious about other people's truth, I encourage you to engage and to let me know where your truth differs. Thank you so much. Oh, right, yeah, oh, right. No time for questions. Let me just take a drink, hold on. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do this. Can you be my advocate here?
I would say randomly.
Okay, all right.
She goes random as you can.
Marius.
How long are you in self-therapy now because of it?
How long am I in what?
In self-therapy because of Semkovo.
In self-therapy?
Yeah. It felt like it was a talk for yourself.
This one?
Yeah.
It actually, in part it was. So I want to know where do I stand in this whole project. So there was an element of for me, where do I fit in all this? And my original talk before I cut it massively down was 40 minutes. There's a lot of stuff to process. I don't know, does that answer your question?
It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
What was your action when you saw so many people disengaged and not active? What was did you take any action to try to engage with them? Because I think like it's a very hard way to see like so many people disengaged. Were you able to like? What was your action?
So what actions did I take to try and encourage people to get more engaged? The truth of the matter is, we don't realize it. Everything is online. So the messages that we're getting are from the people that we all think are the community. The people that are silent or quiet, we don't even know exist. It was just doing this preparation that like, oh wow, who are these people? So I haven't performed those actions. I've tried whenever I could in the platforms that we had to stand up for inclusivity and to stand up against this kind of punitive, yeah, you're bad and get out. And like, so I tried to speak that voice, but ultimately it's not in the power of one person. The co-op operates with a voting principle and the people vote. Do they want this or do they want that? And a lot of the votes that I thought would be better for the community did not pass and did not resonate with the wider membership. Yeah, Andres.
What is the worst case or the best case scenario from your perspective as of today?
What is the worst and best case scenario for who? For the project? It's actually kind of almost counterintuitive to my talk because I try not to think in those extremes. Like I really think those extremes are what leads to that fear and oh, this is going to be terrible, oh, this is going to be massively good. I mean, the whole point is to go to neither of those extremes and sit in a kind of more comfortable, it's not going to be best and it's not going to be worst. It's going to be challenging and it's going to be rewarding. That's really what it's been like for the last 3 years, and that's what I'm expecting over the next 3 years. If you want like more concrete answers to that, we can chat about it later. Yeah. Okay, 2 more.
Okay. Why would you think back then it was a good idea to buy in Semkovo instead of investing in an apartment in Bansko?
That's actually the exact same question that I had last year after my talk, which kind of motivated me to make this. And the truth is, while researching this, we were looking at snapshots of the website back when I bought. The truth is, there was an extremely extensive FAQ with answers to all of those doubts or queries that I had. How will the governance work? How will the returns work? Did I believe everything that I read? Obviously, there was skepticism, but it was a very compelling script. It made me want to try. I was like, fuck, it's so crazy, it might work. That's number one. And number two, I really respect and admire Matthias for the success that has been built here. We are all here, okay, I can't speak for everyone. I'm definitely only here because of the Bansko Nomad Fest. And that was his founding principle. So in a way, I really, even in my darkest moments of frustration, try not to forget this gratitude that like none of this would have been possible, and he did a ton of work for our project. That it's a fact, it's undebatable. It's more debatable, what decisions did he take, but, okay. Another story. You have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I have a follow-up. Do you still respect and admire Matthias?
I'm gonna pass on that one.
You mentioned that he took 10% of the total money raised when he left, and you also said that he did a ton of work. Do you think that's a fair compensation for the work he did, or do you think that he should contribute part of that too?
I've spoken with my lawyers, and I'm not gonna respond until I have more talks with my lawyers. I mean,
In my opinion.
right? Here's what I can tell you. Like the 10% commission was very transparent from very early on. It was like, this is the compensation for his work and his effort and for having found the building. I didn't even have that much problems with it if everything had gone smoothly, and then it's like, yeah, sure. My issues came when I felt that the owners that had bought into this dream were being asked to do a lot of work to fill those gaps and to sell those apartments, but still he's getting the commission, and that's when those conversations started. The challenge is, nobody else wanted to go there and spend 3 years in Semkovo and organize all of the stuff. And there was really nobody else. And a lot of people felt like, well, you know, if he leaves, we're all screwed. So for a lot of time, he had a lot of support because there was no alternative. And something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. Oh yeah, okay, this is a big topic and we're all already running out of time. So like I said, I'm happy to talk to you further. Thank you for your attention.